Okay, so first we're going to put a little masking tape across the canvas. We're not prepping the canvas any other way other than the masking tape. So I have a couple of these little tubes that you get in like gift sets, and honestly there's not enough paint there for me to do much with, so this is a good opportunity to use them. I also have a very old cheap brush that I'm using. Oopsie. I also have just a mason jar with some water in and an old cheap brush. And we're going to do the sky first. So. The idea is that this is for people who really haven't painted yet, or really just want to try this technique, so I don't get too persnickety about it. And I want my paintbrush fairly wet, and I already see I've got an issue because one of these is a little greener than I want, but that's okay. This is our sky, so we just want long strokes. You don't want to stop in the middle. I don't know if you can see, but if I stopped in the middle or started there, it gives me a weird mark. So just all the way across. Now, if you're going to paint the sides of the canvas, which I recommend, let's see if I can turn it so you can see. We're gonna repaint the top once we paint the sides, because you will get this mark down there. So give me a second. It's really hard to paint over this light rain. So I'm gonna just get these sides painted in real quick, and then we'll go back and we'll fix. Okay, so line this up on here. There we go. And again, you see the marks now, so we're just going to go across. And if you wanted to do clouds, that's great. But for this, our focus is going to be on this wave that we're going to do, so we don't have to worry too much about the clouds and such. And before, you don't even have to, I'm just making blue water here. I'm going to take this, and again, don't worry about this. This is a very rough technique. All right, so now we're going to put the watercolors in, and I'm going to use my pour paints for this, because I want the same colors in the water that I have in the for the back of the water as I do in the wave. Remember that a wave, if you look at the water, the distance of the water is usually darker. Unless it's right under a sun, it's usually darker. So I just mixed some dark blue. This is just some regular blue. There's actually some of this blue. And I mixed it with some black to make some dark blue. Now you don't want to go over the horizon line for this. And we're still going to bring it all the way down, but we're going to get a lot less as we come down here. And this is about, for me, I have fun painting with color, so I'm actually even going to add a little black in there. A little black. Yes, these are mustard and ketchup. Squeezers, like 50 cents each, and they make great squeeze bottles for this. Now we'll have some royal blue. It's very similar to the sky color. We need a little bit of green in here in a minute. That's the indigo. This has got a little purple in, so I only use a little bit of this because sometimes the purple can be a little distracting. But it's a little lighter, so if we're going to use it, a little more down the bottom. And we're having fun with color, so there's no rhyme, no reason. This is a blue gold. I just got this. I waited for months for this to come in. But again, a little more. Be careful when you're using iridescents that you don't overdo it because you'll lose the value of them. If you have these sparklies are great, but if all you ever put in is sparklies, so I'm going to put this is darker, just a little bit down here. And let's go with, now we're going to add a little bit of green. But yeah, be careful with sparklies because you'll lose the benefit of them if you do too many of them. So this is lighter. I'm going to put a little bit up there, a little bit there. But this is going to be heavier down here. For those of you who struggle with you want more structure, this is a hard technique to learn, but it's very freeing. So, this is the one my stopper got messed up. No, so I have to take the top off. Okay. Be very careful when you're pouring out of this. Yep, because that will happen. It's okay. I love this color, so having more rather than less of this color would be great. And let's see. We do want a little bit of white because again, you've got white caps. If we don't have this big wave out of the blue, really stopped up as well. I need to bring a pin up here and unstop all these bottles. So, a little bit. And given the wave's going to be in the middle, I'm okay with putting a little more in the middle. Just fill in a couple of these little spaces. It makes the paint much easier. Oops. Okay, so when you do this, what happens? We're going to see. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we need to fix that before it gets too bad, is we're going to take, this is still wet. So now we're starting to have some clouds in here. Just blend it in. Happy accidents. Was it Bob Ross that always says happy accidents? And because we have got some white in there and we've got some extra white now, so there we go. We're just going to blend it up here. We're going with this Bob Ross happy accident approach. I did a few of his paintings. I loved his paintings. And now we're going to pull this down in here because it's like, don't worry about this. It's not going to affect it too much, because we're going to drag this across, so we just need to get some of this up. Move it down there. I'm wiping it off, just picking it up, moving it down here. Okay. And now this white has in it the oil, so it's going to start making cells. All right. Now, a couple of different ways to approach this. On the top of this, I really want it smeared across, so we're just going to wash this brush out a little. Again, this is all blue, so and we're going to have to pull this down. Don't sweat it too much. I will have to put in a new horizon. That's okay. I don't mind that. And you may as well just paint it off the edges here while you're here. But we'll put a new horizon in. We just need some of this white out. All right. Now, this is where hopefully the magic is going to happen. So. Very gently. I'm just resting the brush on here and pulling it through. And I'm going to want darker up there. So, where is my dark blue? Here, that's my really dark blue. I really didn't mean for this to be this sloppy, but it's okay. And just pull this through. It's funny how sometimes the dark will come out, sometimes it just gets lost in there. Oh, crapiola. I'm just doing all sorts of fun today, aren't I? All right. I don't know what we should call this now, but it's okay. We can make it look like sky. Sometimes I will let the stuff dry before. You know what? This kind of looks like a land, you know, like land away from maybe, or maybe we can capitalize on that in a little bit. We'll capitalize on making this look like a little, some sort of land mass. So there we go. All right. Yeah, but it looks like we've got a few clouds just swooshing across there. All right, so it's time to play. I'm going to try the hairdryer first, I think, just to get stuff moving. This is when it gets terribly messy and fun. And so, make sure the hairdryer is on hot. Something a little, well, it's not different. I want the movement of the water down here to be across. Let me see if I can adjust that a little bit. There you go. I want it to be across. So I'm going to help it by using the straw. Now, these little bits right here, before we get too into this, we're going to come back with the hairdryer in a minute, but these little bits down here, just take your brush and you can pick up some of this, the stuff that's come off, and just, because I use a dry canvas. I don't use a wet canvas, only because I don't want to be bothered. Really. I might do better if I did use a wet canvas, but I like to use a dry canvas. So now you can already kind of see in mine, these waves forming, right? I like this. So we're gonna emphasize these little. Next one up. And notice I'm angling this way. If I angle this way, it's going to push back into this wave. Don't worry about that. We'll deal with that in a minute. Now, we've got the top. I can see my wave outlines now. I've got a wave outline here. I've got a wave crashing here. I've got a wave here. And I've got a big wave here. And this is the one we're going to put a lot of surf on it. So I really need to get this fixed so that I can get, there we go, okay. All right, sometimes it's just brute force. So I'm gonna just run a little surf up there, run a little surf there, a little bit up here, and a little bit there. And you can manipulate this if you want with the brush, but if you're a relatively new painter, I don't recommend that. Right here, I'm just gonna blend this in. And you can pull this in a little bit, just. We're going to use the hairdryer on it again in a minute, but and before this dries too much, let's just blend this in. That's why I never get too worried about the sky, because it never really stays one color. And let's just build up this land mass a little. Let's just give it some form. Don't worry about this. We're going to add stuff into it. It's going to get messed up again. That's why we like this really, really wet canvas. Okay. And there we go. We have like this just little, I need some white. Where's my white? Where did I mess up with my white? There we go. And just different texture. Sometimes just painting something in a different texture will make it look completely different. And what I see a mark I have on here. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right. That's kind of cool. Okay, let's get back to this. So. Very gently. I'm trying to define this ridge of foam. One should blow it one way. We're going to blow it another, but let's get all these ones done first. And then this one. See how thick this paint is? You gotta be careful. You blow it too hard, you're gonna get it everywhere. I kind of like the movement of that right now. Okay, so now we blow it from the other direction. Think about how the wave caps over. And by the direction of it. There we go. And do the same thing down here. So now I want to deal with this. So this is what I'm going to deal with this. In a wave, you get this very, I'm going to this very lateral kind of movement. So if you want some texture, you can do this. Just make sure you're using a very light touch. Otherwise, you're going to get, and that's not going to look good. And then we're just working up into this wave like that. Okay. So here, it's going to be kind of a similar thing. Think about the way the water moves within the wave. So the water kind of, I'm kind of lay this black. Water kind of moves down and then that kind of straightens out. The idea is we don't want to see the brush lines. We want it to be very relaxed. But we still see the bottom end of this wave. Still see the cap right there. Still see the cap right there. And then this little one at the bottom. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay, so what do we do up here? Because obviously this isn't the only wave that ever crashed onto this beach or wherever we're at. Okay, this is when we do need to be a little careful. So I had to squirt some out of this white bottle. And so what I'm going to do, we need to create the illusion of a wave up here. And right now I just like all this steam, foam, and chaos. It's a little chaotic and it looks good to me. Hopefully it looks good to you. If it doesn't look good to you and you need it a little more organized, organize it a little more. I'm going to get a smaller brush. So I have a smaller brush, and I'm going to take a little of this white that I spewed out a minute ago, and I should probably wear my glasses for this, but I can't find them. And I'm going to just see these little lines here. Put another one in up here. So here's something else to think about. If you're looking at a picture, I like to start something at the very edge occasionally, because we all like to put like, here's a complete wave here and a complete wave here and a complete wave there. And that's not how nature is. Chances are you're going to have one of these coming in from the side. Just a little bit on the side like that. The further away, the smaller they are. So. Just a little bit over here. And if you feel like you have one that's a little too heavy, wash your brush out. Okay, dry it off just a little. So say I think this one's a little too heavy, and just come in under it, blend it in. There we go, blend it in. There. Aren't you happy with that? Now let's look at our little land mass back here, because I really would like a horizon on this. So. And let's pick up some of this dark color. So I go looking for color in the remnants that are falling off the side, because why not? And then we're just adding this dark up until the land mass. There we go. Okay. If you wanted to define this a little more, you can. You're going to take some of the dark color and just this is so, I've got a lot of paint on here, so it's I'll get some of this dark color and just try and pop it under there. But in all honesty, I don't necessarily know that it needs it. Because I love the swirling of this. This isn't one of those perfect surfing waves. This is a very imperfect wave. So, and I'm going to also bring a little bit of the lighter color down here. So again, got my brush, pick up some of this white. A little more of this white. And make it a little, there we go. And here you have a wave, a sky, a landmass, and there's waves in the background, and these beautiful blues. So really intense blues. I use a lot of different colors. It's one of the advantages is if you want to paint at a studio versus painting at home, is that we tend to have all the colors here. So, you know, it's more inexpensive for you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the Tumultuous Wave. So, welcome to Joe's Joy-O-Meter. As always, if you find joy in any part of this video, please like, subscribe, and as always, feel free to comment. So, what made Joe's Joy-O-Meter go crazy this week? Okay, so I think one of the really exciting things about this for me was the happy accidents. Um, There was a couple of little blips, but because we kept the wet technique, we were able to work through them, and they actually added some dimension, especially to the sky, where we had a couple of those little happy accidents. And the chaos of this, I am normally not a chaotic painter, but I really, really enjoyed the chaos of this. Um, it really got me out of my comfort zone. So I really hope you enjoyed this painting. Again, would love it if you would hit that like button, subscribe, see what's coming up next, and thank you for watching.